This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
They went home.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Anymore.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I don't want to do this anymore.
It's bucket time.
Here's the deal, Bucket. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm tired of you. I've tried to be your friend. And it didn't work. 'Cause you're evil. So I'm just gonna murder you instead. Okay? You're gonna die. Today is the day. I'm going to destroy you. One way or another.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I'm running out of options. But I'll figure it out.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I'm tired. I'm tired, Bucket. I'm tired. I don't want to keep doing this.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
No. Because if you were guiding me, you would not want me going this way.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Everything's going to be fine. For me, not for you.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Which is the darkest timeline? Where you live or where you die? We're in the one where you're gonna die. Escape. I'm gonna escape from you, Bucket. I'm tired.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
That's okay. I'm immortal. I don't know about you, Bucket. I severely hope you're not immortal. You do always come back. I'm gonna murder you, Bucket. I'm committed.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No, we are on track. This is what we're doing. Death.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
That's okay. What's 1 second of pain in the face of eternity? Can we change the light bulb color, though? Like, this is ominous for no reason, really. I'd be more scared if I didn't know this was going to kill me. But I know this is going to kill me, so it's just inevitable.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
It was never.
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death?
I'm pretty calm.
This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
Honestly,
Farewell,
yeah.
Stanley.
Shouldn't have done that. Bye.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator. as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Suck it, Why am I still here then? Why are you still here? Like, it's so easy for me to die. Why is it so hard to kill you? Yeah.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Where'd it go? Is it dead? Is it dead? Did I do it? Is it dead? Because, like, I want it to be dead. The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like the bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within. Rude. The cavern is void. The exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantial. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. No. We have lots of history from multiple perspectives. It's really important to have lots of history from multiple perspectives. Will you take what you've learned here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what you may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? Listen, if this is some bucket propaganda, I'm gonna go ahead and live in ignorance and darkness. I know the truth. I know. I've seen it. Bucket's evil. There is no free will.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
It's just a bucket. It's evil. It's a bucket. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, bucket. I don't get it. I don't understand what everybody sees in you. I really don't. 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 bucket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Liar! A photograph of 25 buckets. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. Lies. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. Lies. He died. Because they're evil. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life. Having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental, every year dozens are put to death just for attempting it. No. For anybody that's ever carried like 2 buckets inside of each other, so you have both the handles, and then you like pinch your fingers between the handles, yeah, don't do that. This is a stupid idea. Wow, that's a scary friggin' bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for controlling of it. For control of it. I can't read. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. I hate you. You are a predecessor to everything that is evil. Distress bucket, presented without commentary. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, this thing makes noise. I thought someone was like coughing and I wasn't alone, and that's terrifying. Is it weird that I'm a little worried because I don't have the bucket? Like when I had the bucket, I knew I had the most dangerous thing in the room. Now that I don't, like there could be a different danger, and that's terrifying. Cave drawing. While we know the bucket predates the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasure. I have a theory. So,
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
no. I don't know what you're on about, but that's stupid. But I have a theory. This isn't a bucket. This is a concept. Like happiness or closure or something that you can't let go of. It's not really a bucket. It's like an addiction. And you want to keep it because it's safe and comforting. That's why there's no free will. Because we want the bucket. A hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between the bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitable, is for our own good. Yeah, see, there's no free will. Not for me, and not for the bucket. The bucket is like symbolic of the parable. The parable ended. And I needed more parables. So now I got a bucket. I hate this bucket, but I keep coming back. I keep coming back to the bucket because I need the bucket. The bucket gives me something to do every single week. It is literally why the YouTube channel is still going. Because I have more videos to make on the bucket, even though I hate the bucket. Maybe I'm reading too into this. Maybe it is just an evil bucket. There is no free will. Not in the parable. Let's do this. Oh, you scared me. Like, I was ready to die. See? I can't get away from you. Because if I did, things would stop. And things aren't allowed to stop.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler.
Okay, but
as
the bucket
leader,
is still
as
here. The
commander of a
bucket's
new
also
world,
gonna
a
die.
new
Like,
vision.
I don't think he thought... Okay, like, the bucket and Stanley died. That was not well thought out. I don't know what you're on, lady. That was stupid. Hello?
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately
Stop it.
and cease
No.
all flow
Stop.
of information
No,
from
no,
the
no.
recorded
No.
message
No, no.
into your
No.
perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
I'm in danger. Okay, let's go find the bucket, because, again, it's always safer to have the most terrifying thing with you.
It's bucket time.
You're alive, Bucket, and I'm alive. You're alive, and I'm alive. Why are you alive? Do you know? It's a concept. It's a concept. It's a concept. It's a concept. It's not a bucket. It's the parable. It's the continuation.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Of the parable.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yeah, see, the bucket.
And here it was.
keeps
Had the
things going.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
It's okay.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to
You
the
don't
meeting
have to
room.
be wrong or right. You just have to be. That's the point. But
And
it's
so
gonna
the
end
two of them detoured
eventually.
through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
No. I've done everything that way. I've done everything that way. I've done almost everything. This is it. Well, it's not it, but it's mostly it.
Oh Good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
We care about you, Stanley.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
No, see, I figured it out. I figured it out. It's not a bucket. It's the continuation. It's the parable. It just goes on. Because people wanted more. But you can't just give them more of the same thing. So you gave them a bucket so that they could do literally the same thing again. It's just the same. It's just... I pressed the wrong button. It's just the same. It's just closure. It's just comfort. Comfort in disguise of a bucket.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
No, please don't.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. That's it. That's the whole point. It's the same. It's the same thing, but again. But it can't be the same. That's why there's a bucket. I figured it out. We never escaped. We never escaped. We never escaped. I'm going to continue forward with this bucket, with the same thing that I've been doing with the Stanley Parable for like a year now. I'm going to go forward and I'm going to make the content happen. And the bucket is going to make the content happen. That's all the bucket is. It's just content. Whatever. It's content. Why's it going to be like this, though? Unnerving stuff.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
I'm a little annoyed that you're just now...
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Like, I just needed some
Bucket
time to
destroyer.
process. You didn't.
My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Yo, it didn't even do anything. I didn't even get a chance to crush the bucket. I needed like 2 seconds to process my thoughts, narrator. I'm gonna have to go back there again.
Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
That's okay. I remember. We were talking about this. Like, this crushy thing. I would have loved this crushy thing at the beginning of this. This would have been awesome. But now I've done this. I've done this enough times and dealt with this bucket, and I've had an open mind, and I've seen the history and all the stuff. It makes sense. It makes so much sense. I'm gonna try and destroy it now, but bet you won't let me destroy it.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
Get rid of the bucket?
This
We can't
is
get
the
rid of
bucket
You've
destroyer.
never let me get rid of the bucket, which I assume now
I
you
think
still
it'll make a
won't let me
wonderful
get rid of
new
the bucket.
addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me
go
it
back.
already feels as though it's been part of the cast
We've
all
done this
along.
before,
Don't you
Narrator.
agree?
You can't go back. You can only go forward.
Can you guess what the bucket destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to
Okay,
spell it
open.
out for you.
Open up.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine
Pop
when
it
you're
in.
ready.
Hey, Stanley, what the hell? Put it in the machine.
Now listen to me. It's crucial
See?
that you give it the
You
bucket.
won't let me.
I don't know what the bucket
You
destroyer will
refuse
do if it
to
can't
let me
destroy
destroy
your
the bucket.
Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon?
You won't let me destroy the bucket. The bucket. The bucket is comfort.
The bucket destroyer.
The bucket
My prized
is
creation.
just something
You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous
that
things
you
with you,
love.
tell such
You
spellbinding
can't
stories
destroy
about
that.
you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you
It's
were
not
here,
a bucket.
you were magnificent.